1969, Apollo 11 triumphantly lands on the Moon, a pivotal moment made possible by the Saturn V rocket, led by Wernher von Braun and his team, a man whose genius was once harnessed by Hitler. This is the story of how the US government secretly forgave Nazi war crimes to win the space race. Beneath the triumph of V-2 rockets soaring into the stratosphere lay the agonizing toil of prisoners at Dora-Mittelbau, an origin as dark as the void it breached. Wernher von Braun, the architect of these rockets, stood at the intersection of groundbreaking science and profound moral compromise. Born in 1912, von Braun emerged as a child prodigy with a keen interest in astronomy and rocketry, fully manifesting in his leadership role within Nazi Germany's rocket development program. By 1943, his team had developed the V-2 rocket, the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile, a technological marvel capable of reaching the edge of space before descending upon its target. The V-2 was built under harrowing conditions at the Dora-Mittelbau concentration camp, where about 60,000 prisoners from across Europe were forced into labor. Roughly 20,000 perished due to brutal work conditions, malnutrition, and disease. The camp, hidden in central Germany's Harz Mountains, was a subcamp of Buchenwald, specifically constructed in 1943 for the mass production of V-2 rockets. Prisoners worked in underground tunnels to manufacture these weapons, often without proper ventilation or basic safety measures, leading to numerous fatalities. Von Braun is documented as having visited the production site and was aware of the forced labor, with survivor testimonies recalling his presence. Historical records and first-hand accounts reveal von Braun's awareness and direct involvement in exploiting slave labor for the V-2 program. Former prisoners like Adam Kabala recall the chilling presence of SS guards and the indifferent glances of engineers like von Braun, who sometimes toured the facilities, stepping over the bodies of those who had collapsed from exhaustion. Von Braun's ambition to pioneer space exploration was, thus, indelibly stained by the atrocities committed under his watch. As the war neared its end, the imminent defeat of Nazi Germany triggered a clandestine operation by the Allies, desperate to harvest the minds behind the terror. This operation, later known as Operation Paperclip, saw over 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians, including von Braun, secretly recruited by the United States. Despite his Nazi Party membership and SS officer rank, von Braun's expertise in rocket technology was deemed invaluable in the looming Cold War context. By 1945, he and his team were in Fort Bliss, Texas, working on rocket development for the U.S. Army, laying the foundational work that would later catapult the United States into the space age. The transition from a Nazi collaborator to a linchpin of American space ambitions encapsulates the ethical paradoxes of Operation Paperclip. While von Braun's work on the V-2 rocket positioned him as a pioneer in aerospace engineering, it also implicated him in war crimes that claimed thousands of innocent lives. The juxtaposition of his contributions to both Nazi war efforts and American scientific advancements presents a disconcerting duality. A man whose vision for human space exploration was realized on the backs of forced laborers and at the cost of countless lives. His legacy, thus, remains a controversial tapestry of human ingenuity and inhuman cruelty, underpinning the moral complexities entwined in the very fabric of NASA's storied beginnings. Operation Paperclip marked a grim yet strategic maneuver at the dawn of the Cold War, where the U.S. government covertly recruited over 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians, many of whom had been members of the Nazi Party and the SS. Spearheaded by the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency, JIOA, the operation initially aimed to prevent Soviet access to German scientific expertise. Among these recruits was Wernher von Braun, a leading figure in rocket technology whose V-2 rocket had been built using forced labor from concentration camps such as Mittelbau Dora. Von Braun, along with his team, was quietly relocated to Fort Bliss, Texas, concealing their dark pasts to leverage their brilliance for America's nascent rocket program. Von Braun's integration into the American scientific community was facilitated by an extensive effort to sanitize his Nazi affiliations. Classified documents were altered and backgrounds cleansed to portray these scientists as less complicit in the regime's crimes than they were. For instance, in von Braun's newly crafted biography, U.S. officials omitted his SS rank and downplayed his role in using slave labor for armaments production. This rewriting of history was a calculated risk, taken to harness their knowledge for U.S. technological supremacy, particularly against the Soviets, who were also racing to scoop up German scientists for their own purposes. Despite the ethical quandaries, the relocation of these scientists resulted in significant advancements in rocket technology and laid the groundwork for NASA's space exploration endeavors. The operation was kept under wraps until the 60s, when the first whispers of Nazi affiliations began to surface, causing public outcry and moral debate. The U.S. government, grappling with the fallout, defended their actions by emphasizing the strategic necessity of these recruitments amidst Cold War pressures. They argued that the technological benefits, such as the development of the Saturn family of rockets, culminating in the Saturn V, which would eventually carry humans to the moon, justified the morally dubious means. The personal accounts of those who worked alongside these figures paint a complex picture. One engineer at NASA, who remained anonymous for fear of retribution, described von Braun as a visionary who seemed genuinely remorseful about his past. Yet, survivors from Mittelbau Dora vividly recalled the brutal conditions and the relentless pursuit of technological advancements at the expense of human lives, directly implicating von Braun and his team in their suffering. With the most controversial figures of World War II now shaping the future of U.S. scientific achievements, the stage was set for monumental strides in space exploration. However, the ethical implications of Operation Paperclip continue to provoke heated debate. It raises profound questions about the balance between moral integrity and strategic necessity, and whether it is justifiable to employ knowledge gained through heinous acts for greater good. As we delve deeper into the nuances of this pivotal period in history, it is essential to confront these uncomfortable truths and reflect on the lessons learned to navigate the complex moral landscape of scientific and technological advancement. From Peenemünde to Apollo, the Nazi legacy in space. In the wake of World War II, as Cold War tensions mounted, the United States, driven by the aim to dominate space exploration, leveraged the expertise of former Nazi scientists, a decision that would drastically shape the success of NASA and the entire history of spaceflight. Wernher von Braun, the most prominent of these scientists, moved from developing the V-2 rocket at Peenemünde, which caused extensive devastation in Europe, to pioneering crucial advancements in American rocket technology. Von Braun and his team, under Operation Paperclip, shifted focus from wartime ballistics to peacetime celestial exploration. By 1953, von Braun was leading the development of the Redstone rocket at Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama. This short-range ballistic missile, a direct descendant of the V-2, became America's first nuclear-capable ballistic missile. It also played a pivotal role in launching the first American astronaut, Alan Shepard, into space aboard Freedom 7 in 1961. This achievement not only marked a significant technological leap, but also signaled the U.S.'s burgeoning capabilities in the emerging space race against the Soviet Union. Progressing from the Redstone and its descendants, von Braun's ambition and relentless drive led to the development of the Saturn V rocket, the most powerful rocket ever built and operated. This technological marvel, standing at 363 feet tall and producing 7.5 million pounds of thrust, was instrumental in propelling the Apollo missions to the moon. The Saturn V's first manned moon landing in 1969 during the Apollo 11 mission was a historical event watched by millions around the globe. Neil Armstrong's iconic statement, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," as he stepped onto the lunar surface, underscored the monumental achievement built on the expertise of those once aligned with Nazi ideologies. The public perception of von Braun and his team evolved over the years. Initially celebrated as heroes of American ingenuity and the space race, the full extent of their involvement with the Nazi regime and the use of forced labor at Dora gradually came to light, sparking controversy and debate over the moral implications of their recruitment. Historical documents and testimonies have since painted a complex portrait of von Braun, swinging between a ruthlessly ambitious SS officer and a visionary engineer who was pivotal in achieving one of humanity's greatest technical feats. This dichotomy posed an ethical quandary that resonated throughout NASA and the world at large. As we laud the scientific achievements facilitated by Operation Paperclip, we must also grapple with the unsettling realities of its origins. The technological strides afforded by the integration of Nazi scientists into American aerospace endeavors came at a significant moral cost. The narrative of space exploration, thus, is indelibly tainted by the shadows of its contributors' pasts, prompting ongoing debates about the balance between technological advancement and ethical responsibility. As humanity continues to reach for the stars, the legacy of Operation Paperclip serves as a somber reminder of the complexities entwined with scientific progress, where the lines between right and wrong are often blurred by the sands of time and the pressing demands of national security and prestige. As the world watched Neil Armstrong's historic lunar step, few knew of the troubling pasts of the men who made it possible. Operation Paperclip challenges us to ponder the moral cost of monumental achievements. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more World War II history deep dives every week. Thanks for watching.